Nachos.
You know, in the dental world today, there's a lot of people that are looking for positions within a practice, and there's a lot of practices that are looking for someone to fill those positions. Here at Dental Nachos, we've got something that can help you by using our Job Connect program that puts people together. So you can find just that right person, just that right position through Dental Nachos. And today, got a treat for you. We've got Jill Ruggieri here who is joining us right now, and she's in charge of that as a coordinator for it. Jill, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Terry. This is
Well,
great.
tell us from a kind of big picture point of view, from the 40,000-foot point of view first, what this program does, kind of how it puts people together.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's like a job matchmaking service. So we find opportunities for job seekers to connect with practices that are looking to add an associate or an in-house specialist, and we just connect them in various ways via text, email, and just kind of get them connected.
Okay, so tell me, let me get a little bit more in depth here. How do you do that? How have you done that in the past, making those connections?
Yeah, often a practice will reach out to us saying that they have an opportunity where they'd like to add an associate or add an in-house specialist. And our team creates a customized advertised listing for them. And we share that in various ways to our Dental Nachos community. And then we find different job seekers that have joined our program that share with us different states where they want to practice. And then just the matchmaking continues from there. If somebody has an opening in New Jersey and we have dentists looking that have a license in New Jersey, we then make connections that way.
Very nice. I can see how that's going to help a lot of people. Now, I want to take advantage of you being here because you are really brilliant in what you're doing with social media. I've seen what you're doing, and I'm a person that works in that a lot. And I look at you going, whoa, this is nice. I want you to tell us a little bit about what you're doing and be specific on some of the social media platforms, what you're doing with like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, or what you're using and what you're not doing, so we can see a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah, so these customized ads about the openings, we share them in our Facebook group that has about 28,000 members. We also share them in our Job Connect Facebook group that has just specific job seekers. And we have a lot of success sharing these open positions on Instagram in both our stories and our still frames that go out to our community, which we have a pretty large following. We also, in customized ways, can share about the positions on other platforms as well, LinkedIn and Twitter too.
Okay, now I understand you also work with students, dental students, and this. Tell me how, if a student is watching this going, hey, I'd like to get some more information on this, what you do for them.
Sure. So Dr. Nacho and our team believe in always be connecting. So the job search and the job process we believe begins when dental school begins. So it's never too early to kind of get in the loop, to get tips and tricks and great ways to find a job and to just learn about open positions. So we highly encourage dental students, especially D3s and D4s, to join our program simply by emailing jobconnect@dentalnachos.com, and then we will share with them the different ways they can get looped into our programs.
Okay, well, let me put that up again here. We got one of those fancy schmancy graphics there. Say that again. And for somebody who might be listening to this with audio only, sometimes we'll do it that way, please spell that out for them as well.
Sure, they can email us at jobconnect@dentalnachos.com, JOBCONNECT at dentalnachos, DENTALNACHOS.com.
You're doing that so well. We really like that. That's good. And by the way, that does help because sometimes people go, why they said it so fast. Well, now we do it. And also understand they can reach you to send a text or call. And that number on the screen there, please read that out for us.
Sure, 267-800-3196.
All right. Well, a lot of good there. You can get us in touch with us that way or other ways. Jill, any final words before we say goodbye?
No, we're excited to hear from both practices looking to add an associate or an in-house specialist. And then we also love to hear from our job seekers and help them get connected with great opportunities and to learn more about open positions.
Jill, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks, Terry, for having me.
What do dental practice owners think about before they go into their dental office for the day? My name is Dr. Paul Goodman. I've been a dentist for 18 years and a practice owner for 15 years. And I'd like to share with you the 3 things that I think about before I go into my dental office for the day. Number 1, keep my crying on the inside. That is where dentists and people who work in dental offices must keep their crying. Number 2, limit the number of times I feel like crying each day by doing this. Everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters. Systems in your office designed to be successful, patient-centered, and more profitable are what you need to survive and thrive. If you would like to learn more about what we do to help dentists cry less on the inside each day, visit us at dentalnachos.com or text Nachos to 215-543-6454. Text Nachos to 215-543-6454. Hey guys, it's Paul, Dr. Nacho. I'm so glad you're part of the group. Our group is based on kindness, supporting each other, learning, being there for each other at all the ages and stages in the circle of dentistry life. We can help you in any way. There's 2 easy ways to do that. One is our website, dentalnachos.com. One is our text platform. If you want to get a prize, just text prize to 215-543-6454. We'll text you back a prize and you'll be in the text platform. I'm here in my dental office in Pennington, New Jersey, living my best dentisting life, doing full contact arts and crafts on people who don't want to be here. It's kind of what dentistry is like. Some of it is really awesome. Some of it is quite annoying. You know what dentistry is like. So Dental Nachos is here to make that a little bit better for you. I also want to share I have this Orbell thing, which is really pretty cool. It's from one of our sponsors. I use it as a dad. I use it as a dentist. We give it out to patients as gifts. If you want to learn more about it, just text HAND, text the word HAND to 55444, or email us at salsa@dentalnachos.com. We're all in this wacky dentisting world together, and the more we share, the more we care, the better place we can make it for all of us.
This year has been Nacho nuts. My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho. It's been annoying. It's been stressful. At the start of this year, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, but here we are. So at Dental Nachos, we want to honor our favorite holiday by sharing with you the 12 days of nachos. The 12 days of nachos is going to start on December 12th, and it is going to go until December 23rd, the day of our favorite holiday, Festivus. Festivus is about airing your grievances, and there's a lot of grievances with 2020. What we're going to do on the 12 days of nachos is every day, we're going to send you a totally free CE course to make your 2021 better. It's totally free for you to enjoy. CE that you can enjoy from home, on your Peloton, on the run. You can watch it on your best friend or listen to your phone. So to be part of the 12 days of nachos and honor our favorite holiday, Festivus, text GIFT to 215-543-6454. Text GIFT to 215-543-6454. You don't have to do anything else. Every day, we're going to send you a totally free course to make your life in dentistry more successful, less stressful, and most definitely less annoying. And on the day of Festivus, we are hosting a live CE on TV with Dr. Brett Gilbert, How to Make Endo Less Annoying. So join us, earn CE, get free prizes, make this year less annoying and less stressful. And the best part about all of this is you can do it from your home, and you can wear things like this on the top, and nobody knows if you're wearing your pajamas on the bottom. So join us for the 12 days of nachos. We hope to see you there.
Do you want to learn how to hire so you do not have to fire? My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho, and this Friday, December 11th, on Dental Nachos TV, we are hosting the author of The Idiot's Guide to the Perfect Job Interview. Marc Dorio will share with us strategies for success, especially how to interview during a pandemic. To join us, just text HIRE to 215-543-6454. This is both for people hiring candidates, and also, if you want to know how to Nacho nail it on your job interview, join us on Dental Nachos TV and just text HIRE to 215-543-6454. It's Guide to the Perfect Job.
Hey, Dental Nachos crew, this is Paul, Dr. Nacho. I'm so excited to be here today with one of my favorite people to share with us The Idiot's Guide to the Perfect Job Interview, Pandemic Update Edition.
Marc Dorio is an amazing friend, speaker, mentor. You're going to find out more about him. Marc, you're welcome to start your video whenever you would like. And we are going to talk and answer your questions, how we can help you. This year has been Nacho Nuts, as I had said, and what we could do at this time. So Marc, I would love you just took a few minutes and shared with us your background, show us the book, how people could get that, and also what you do on a day-to-day basis with helping people who both are looking for jobs, interviewing for jobs. And we're also going to talk about, are you someone out there, because I know there's someone special in the audience that I know today who interviews for jobs, and she interviews people for jobs, and she just loves it. When 5 people come in for interviews, it's her favorite day. That's my office manager. So Marc, share with us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Paul, good. This is great to be with the Nacho community. I've been looking forward to this for weeks since you asked me to do this. Yeah, I'm a consultant. I'm an industrial psychologist by training. And for 11 years of my life, I was an executive search person. I went out looking for people, mainly technical people, scientists, a PhD level doctor, worked with many doctors, lawyers, I mean, usually high level kind of folks. And out of that came the opportunity one day to write a book on interviewing.
Awesome.
And it was called His Guide to the Perfect Job Interview. And I think you referenced it in your book. And here's the third edition of it. And what's interesting, it's been translated to many languages. I picked up the French one today.
Oh, nice.
I should have picked up the Korean one. It's more exciting because I can't read. I can read French a little bit. But anyway, And I say that not to pat myself on the back, but to show you how the idea of the interview is something that is universal, from a universal point of view, is something that people dread, right, both going for an interview, and I find I work with people that are interviewing and they equally dread it. Some dentist said to me, it's like my patients hate the root canal. It's like having a root canal. Sorry, endodontists out there, but
both sides of dread. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can you make this more livable for everybody? And today we're going to really talk about I guess we're going to answer your question. We're going to be very interactive, but I want to talk about, the interview process itself, because obviously in the pandemic, most of our interviews now are on this virtual Zoom, Ring Central, whatever, Skype, and it's a whole different, it creates some very different intricacies about interviewing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Answer your questions. And we can do it for both sides, interviewing, how to interview, and how to be interviewed. And be honest with you, on both sides of that equation, the advice is about the same.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And what I like to say is there's 2 great ways to motivate people. And as a parent, one is a bribe. So my office manager, when I give her unlimited cold brews to drink after interviews. So I know you guys out there, if you're watching, this number is for your prizes. So take a picture of this number. You don't get the cold brew, but we might be able to get this company to sponsor us one day. We're going to hand out prizes. And let's start with this, Marc. For just 10 minutes, I want to wave a Nacho magic wand, if I had one here, and pretend there was no pandemic ever. And we were just talking about traditional in-person interviews first. So let's talk about, because in a dental office, we are still doing traditional in-person interviews, associate, assistant, hygienist. So if you're someone going to an in-person interview and you were on the way in the next half hour, what are some Marc Dorio tips to prep yourself for an in-person traditional?
If you're going for an interview, Paul?
Yeah, you're going to go for an interview and be interviewed.
Okay. First of all, 90% of the interview happens before you even get there. You say, what do you mean by that? Are you prepared? Do you know what this dental practice is like? In fact, my theory, I advise my clients to do is do as much research as possible. So you go in there, you're like an insider. You already know a lot about that dental office. It's amazing how many people even do that. And this day and age, it should never happen. There's so much information out there. I should know Dr. Goodman's background. I should know Jeff Goodman's background. So when I walk into Pennington Dental, if I'm going to come to your place, I know a lot about the organization already. That is the key. Are you prepared? Are you thinking about the questions, not so much what they're going to ask you, are you thinking about the questions you don't want to be asked?
Right.
I always say prepare those questions. For example,
I want to pause you for a second, Marc, because what you said was valuable. So if you're listening, dentists, hygienists, assistants, review the practice website. So my office manager's here. So you can say to my office manager, I was looking online and I see you guys do implants and sleep apnea. It's so powerful to show initiative and for preparation, like Marc said. It could just be a few small points. You don't have to memorize what dental school, what everyone went to, just a few small points that show their interest. So I love that part, Marc. Prepare before you get there. Research the company online, look things, everything. Perfect.
I love 90% of the interview starts before you get there. What are some other things to prepare for this in-person?
Once you're there, I always tell people get there early. Okay, you say, well, should I get there early? So you say, I have a 2:00 appointment with Dr. Jeff Goodman. I know it's a quarter to two, but you say to the office manager, don't ever announce me. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes, get my thoughts together. And you sit in that office and you listen,
right,
and you see. And it shows you a lot of what that organization is like. Do you hear people arguing with each other? Do you see people frowning? Do you see people that are smiling? Do you see people when they come out and greet patients, are they friendly? Do the patients look like they enjoy being there for the most part? So get there early and do a little, I don't know, surveillance, if I can use that word.
Well, you're going to
get second tip.
You're going to, dental offices are one thing, they're authentic, and they're going to hear the people talking to each other, hear what they're saying to each other. And dentists interviewing for jobs, I know sometimes there's a tendency to be desperate. Jill, our Job Connect team members here, but you want to prepare not to be desperate, because also you want to make sure, is it the right fit for you as a dentist, as a dental hygienist, as assistant? So my office manager, next time you have to do an interview, first you have the cold brew first. Second, after that, you can take one of these mugs. You can use this for anything, and you can put Amanda's favorite wine, Lambrusco and Mary's, in there afterwards. So that's before and after the interview. There's a great Ted Alexander joke with that. Now, what I want to share now is you guys ask questions in the chat. My team will migrate those over to the Q&A. I like that, Mark. Next thing, Mark. Now you're an office manager. Now you're someone hiring somebody. Now you're someone in an organization who's doing an interview. What are some things that you should be thinking about to prepare yourself to ask questions to people?
Okay, the same thing. Are you prepared for that interview?
Yeah.
Do you have the person's CV in front of you, or are you looking for it as they're walking in the door? Right. Do you know what your must-haves are? What do you want this person to do from a technical point of view? First of all, do you know what the must-haves are? What are the nice-haves? Second of all, do you have some questions that you can ask that touch even the more important things, like their emotional intelligence? Are there going to be a fit? So you're doing two things: technical questions, but also cultural questions. And these are all, you have to prepare. You can't do this on the fly.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Mark, you made me think of something in a moment that was good. So dentists and people work in dental offices. This is a good Nacho phrase. They're great with patients, not so good with people. What that means is when they're a comfort zone of Mark, my patient, oh, Mark, how is your wife doing? What did you do? They love that, right? But when someone comes in for an interview, what can they do? I know my Nacho like to decrease the awkwardness with the first question. If you were interviewing somebody, I said, Mark, you interview my next hygienist, assistant, dentist. What's a good first question to decrease the awkwardness?
I have two questions I'll give you. I ask all the time, because the first thing I want you to do is put that person at ease. Yeah. I ask two questions. I say, Jennifer, what led you to the dental profession? And it's interesting when people give you their career path. The second question I say to them, Jennifer, when you were 16 years old, what did you want to do? And she smiles. She says, I wanted to be a singer. Yeah. Do you sing now? Oh yeah, in the church choir. All of a sudden, I got the person talking about themselves, and in a very comfortable way, and I've learned something about them already. So those two questions I always have people ask.
Those are great ones, and that gets people comfortable talking about themselves, and it gets them warming up their verbal muscles on both ends of it. So I know you delivered some value there. Now, before we shift to the virtual style interview, the in-person interview, this is a question I've been asked on interviews, whether it's for Einstein residency, for something else. When gets to the moment in the interview where the hiring manager says, what questions do you have for us? My sense is it's good not to have zero questions, because it shows disinterest. Maybe it's not the right time to say, do you have any bad reviews? What's a good question that you can give a person out there when they say, hey, do you have any questions for us after the interview's over? Is there a good thing to find out more about?
One good question to ask: if you were to hire me and I started work on Monday morning, okay, what kind of patients would I see? What kind of cases would I see? That tells you more than anything of how they're going to use you immediately.
And that's so valuable. If Jill's watching and who copes with me, that's really great for associates, because if you said to a dental practice owner or their office manager, hey, if I took this job and I was working here on Monday, what kind of patients or cases would I see? Listen, because if they say, we have fillings and crowns and we're backed up and we're busy, great. If they say, we'll see some emergencies, problem. So we have tons of content here, guys. You're going to get a free souvenir for watching in on Zoom that you can take with you that my team will drop. But that is so critical, because that answer, now you're interviewing the place and you're determining if they're competent. So that's some in-person stuff. That's just great. Now, Mark, I think you were a visionary to put Skype into your last book, because I know we did a little. Now I have this awesome Nacho team, different phases of their life. Some we're interviewing now. Tell us a little bit. Let's migrate and just talk about virtual interviews in general. Share with us what people should be thinking about, what you're seeing in this pandemic-influenced interview world.
Let's talk about from the interviewee's point of view. I think that how you look, remember, the screen exaggerates everything. How you look is very important. And one of the things I find is lighting. For example, I hope the lighting is good right now. If I do this, all of a sudden, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure how you look on that screen, it looks good, and your background's going to look good. You know, no dirty laundry.
Right.
You know, if you want. So the visual part of it becomes even more important than it does in person, because TV exaggerates things. Okay.
And maybe Mark, everything's about, prizes. Maybe you could get a friend before you go on an interview and just say, hey, would you jump on a Zoom meeting with me? So I do this with my team to let me know how my lighting is, how my sound is. And you can ask me a couple questions. Ask me a question. What led you to the dental field? Just so I practice saying, hey, I was always wanted to be a dentist growing up. I saw my childhood dentist. And maybe you'll treat that person to an old fashioned with some bourbon. So, these are all things that you can do to make your friends feel better. So bribe a friend. Make them say, hey, we'll have virtual old fashions. I'll send you and that's critical, because just like layup lines, my dream was to be a basketball player. That didn't come true, but I still like that. Just like layups or the Eagles passing the ball around before they start, you got to warm up your interview muscles. So background's important. Sound is important. What else are we thinking about?
How you look on the screen, for example, or if you're in a chair too far and you're like this, or if you're down too low, make sure that your screen is eye level. So you're talking, I can't be looking down at the person up there. So the visual is very important. Okay. Second of all, one of the tips I give in my book, either it's in person or virtual interview, I call it persuading with your ears. Talk less, listen more. Yeah. And I said both for the interviewer and the interviewee. And this on Zoom, you really have to be conscious. Are you interrupting the person? Are you really taking your time? Are you talking slower? It's almost harder to get the cadence on Zoom, but you can practice it and get better at it.
I like that, Mark. While we're sitting here, I'm going to make a note. You can text GIFT, the word GIFT, to 215-543-6454, and you'll immediately be in the 12 days of Nachos. But I'm going to use this for another thing. What I recommend dental students do, or new dentists do, is they have a piece of paper, a small notebook, and say, hey, is it okay if I jot some things down during the interview? And what's in that notebook is a cheat sheet. And on the other side of the notebook is the 5 questions you want to ask when you're interviewing for a job or you're interviewing an associate. Why do you need an associate? How will I be paid? What procedures will I do? Where is the job? And is it fun? So then because in the heat of interviewing, I'm assuming some of your clients on both ends forget to ask questions. Does that happen?
Yes.
So jotting that down is important. So go ahead, Mark.
Make sure your cell phone is off.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't be looking at it. Make eye contact. Eye contact is very important. You can't be distracted looking away over here. Okay. Try to get into a quiet place. I know it can be difficult sometimes. Kids are home from school. They're doing their virtual schooling, but you have to find a quiet place. You have the dog who you love very much, but the dog can't be jumping up on you. And again, the setting has to be very important. I was very important today the setting back here. Thanks to my wife, she made sure the setting was
great. I love
neat and comfortable looking. And so I think the visual, we talk about communication being 50, 40, 10. 50% is how you look, 40% is how you sound, 10% of what you say. This 50 is really big in the pandemic era of virtual interviews.
And okay, Mark, so we're going to play a fun game here for a second, and it's going to say something. So I have set up this I've set up a real background here. Your background looks so good, Mark, that it could be, it looks like it could be a virtual thing, but I know that you're home. So let's talk for a minute about virtual backgrounds versus real backgrounds. A couple of things that I've learned in living on this is virtual backgrounds can be fun, but sometimes you bleed into them. Some of you do this, but let's play a game here. Mark, you can enter too. So anyone who texts in what celebrity I look like and constantly get told that I look like, text in the name, you got 30 seconds, a celebrity. There's a few different answers, but I'm looking for one. So whenever I wear a hat, people say this, and this celebrity I showed a picture to Mary, Mrs. Nacho, and I said, hey, who does this look like? And it was from this summer. She goes, is that you from high school? And I said, if you were married to this person, you would have many millions instead of not having any millions. So what celebrity do I look like? Picture me with a hat on. And we're going to use it to show the virtual background. So some dentists, Mark, when I want to drive home a point in a lecture, I say, I got some skeptical dentists out there, right? Skeptical dentists like these two. Now it's fun, but I wouldn't use it for an interview because you can see immediately my face isn't the same. I start to bleed a little bit. So I would set up like you or me, set up with a real background. Virtual backgrounds can be fun, but you never know what happens. Sometimes this shows up here. It doesn't show up over here. But if you text in or put in the chat, we'll send you a prize. Who do people think I look like? Here is the answer. Scott Verlander. So I don't know if you think we look alike us too, but that is a common one that I get. It also shows virtual background. One more fun one, Mark, I can give you is sometimes when you're interviewing, it can get very stressful and it feels like a sauna in here from my favorite show. It feels like you're in a sauna. So virtual backgrounds are fun, but I wouldn't use them for interviews. Great. Let's do at this point, Mark, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, show a video, and we'll be back with some questions from the audience. You guys put your questions in and we'll do a video.
Thank you.
Drop your questions in as we go to our commercial break for a second here. And this also shows the power of YouTube. I would make some of YouTube playlists of your own and be able to share sometimes some cases, things like that. So you just go to the playlist. We have this here, and we left off on this one here.
It is April of 2021. 6,000 dental students who've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their dental degree. The culmination of high school, of college, of dental school will enter the dental workforce, and there will not be enough practical jobs for them to get. My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho, and I am concerned that June of 2021 is the perfect storm for dentistry. Why am I concerned about this? We have 6,000 dental students graduating, 3,000 to 4,000 dentists retiring. The pandemic has caused major problems with profitability and production for medium-aged dentists like me. Medium-aged dentists like me are producing less dentistry, profiting less, and our need to hire associates has decreased. Many existing associates, here is the important point, many existing associates have had their hours reduced, their jobs have been lost, and now they are back into the job finding pool. So when a dentist is looking for an associate, are they going to hire someone with 5 years experience or someone right out of a dental school or a GPR? The way to make this problem for dentistry better is ABC, always be connecting. How can dentists looking for jobs and practices looking for associates connect in a meaningful way? Learn about each other early enough in the stage. The worst time to look for a job is when you need a job. The best time to start looking for a job is your first day of dental school, and don't stop until you get that job. The network you create, both in person, online, and virtually, is the key to success. While I'm an incredibly positive person with the JBN Dental Nachos vibe, hundreds of thousands of.
Okay, so that's my message to you guys, why starting early is important. And we're going to bring Mark back on for some great Q&A here because we have some great questions in the chat. Mark, you're welcome to start your video. Perfect. So I'm a JBR guy, Mark, just be real. Some of it's just be nice, but some of it's just be real. Right now, we do have a challenge with this pandemic and the number of dental jobs available that are practical. We're doing our best to share through our Dentist Job Connect platform. But if you're watching this now recorded, you're watching recording, starting early is important. So from an attendee here, I would like to know, when interviewing online, is there a way to pick up on social cues? In person, this can be tricky. So I'm curious if there's any tips online for our virtual interviews about social cues.
Is that from an interviewer point of view or interviewee point of view?
No, someone who interviewee, someone who's interviewing, but it could be from either, really.
Social cues. Okay. Are they looking at just the visual of the person? Are the person smiling? Right. Do they look distracted? I call them tells. Okay. Do they talk too much? They don't listen well. These are kind of things are kind of some of the obvious things to look for, okay? Because that tells you right away if you're going to work for somebody and they just keep talking over you. Can I work for somebody like that? So
I love that, Mark. And what I want to share is, right now you see me looking at you, right? I'm looking directly at you, right? Do I look like I'm looking at you now?
No, right.
But what I'm doing here, guys, and this happens to me a lot, my Zoom screen is at the bottom. So make sure you drag your Zoom window right up as close to your camera as possible, because really what's challenging about Zoom, Mark, is, and Terry Brock, who's just an amazing coach of mine, to be looking the person in the eye on Zoom, you have to be looking into the webcam, not always where the person is on your screen. So a great tip is get the person
sitting like this, like they're going like that, you're giving them an answer to a question and they're going, I mean, again, that's what you have to look at.
So one of the things I share is hear the words, say the words with patient communication. This is why just using Zoom, instead of talking to your friends on the phone or talking on the phone, talk on Zoom, so you just become more comfortable, and ask your friends for feedback on cues. That's a good point. Someone might say you're not interested. I know some people in my life sometimes, Mark, they have faces that look like they're not interested or unhappy, but on the inside they are. It's just how they present themselves. But a lot of times you can get cued in person. So remembering to smile, and even me, who's a fairly smiley person, and remembered by my awesome client services director. A lot of times what happens is, and this is true, Mark, I'll model with you, you're talking a lot, and then I just go like this. And I don't mean to seem disinterested. It's just, it's not an in-person. I don't feel your energy. So great question there. What can you do to stand out on a virtual interview? Let's say that's a competitive position. And is there anything you could do to stand out if you were interviewing someone on a virtual interview?
It's funny, the way you stand out in an interview is by showing incredible interest in the interviewee. We're told, I think the ancient wisdom is, you go into the interview, my father would say, get in there, sell yourself. Well, let's talk about that. A good salesman, Brandon could agree with this. Brandon's a great salesman who works for you. A good salesperson finds out what that customer needs. So the more I can ask questions about what they need. Right. So the person says, we have a very busy practice here. We have, we have a lot of senior citizens. Oh, could you tell me more about that? Right. Things like active listening creates, and all of a sudden the person is talking to you and you're showing interest in them. And then you realize after they talk to you about, you say, I like working with older patients. Yeah. In my own family, I take care, so I think one of the ways you stand out is by talking less, listening more.
I have to thank you, Mark, on TV here, because there's like 1 or 2 million people watching, maybe 2 million. But I want to say you've helped me over the years. Tell me more about that. It's so valuable in every walk of life. I walk in to my operatory. Paul, the denture stinks. You stink. I hate it here, blah, blah. I can see how you feel that way. Tell me more about that, right? And then I start to manage the conversation. Do you not like the way the denture looks? Oh, no, I like the way it looks. What's the part? Oh, it's just when I eat hoagie. Yes. Well, we talked about implants for the hoagie part, right? It's not a magical denture. We need implants for that. So I think that's helped me so much, Mark. I want to thank you with patience.
Don't do anything gimmicky. I once interviewed somebody who came up with rabbit ears on.
Right.
And she wanted to show that she was going to differentiate herself, that she had a great sense of humor. Well, it didn't work. Okay.
I like that. Yeah, it is.
Gave her credit for initiative, but rabbit ears did not work. Okay.
That also goes with personality. Here's a really good one, I think, for both parties. So my awesome wife, Mary, who she helps interview for Dental Nachos. Kate helps interview for The Office. I help interview. This is important. When to bring up compensation. how to talk around compensation, how much we're going to pay. This is both sides. When do you bring up
Both
what
sides.
to pay and when to ask about payment or
Okay.
salary or hourly wage?
I would say that you wait for the employer to talk about compensation. And when they say, gee, Joanne, what are your salary requirements? Before you even answer that question, you have to say, well, let's review again. Here's what I think you need, and here's what I feel I bring to the job. So always talk about your value, then give them a range. But
Right.
don't just give somebody a range. Tie value to the range. Okay, so I don't bring up money, but that's also a tell. When an employer asks you about money, that's a tell, which means they just might be interested. It's like saying, when would you be available to start? That's a great tell.
Yeah.
I ask questions like that. If I'm not interested, I don't ask you how much money you want if I'm not interested in you. So they're great, but don't be so quick to give a number. Talk about your value, how that equates to the number you're giving them.
And I can add some dental stuff on this. And first, I want you to share, Mark, if somebody's watching this and they want to reach out to you for guidance, questions, advice, working with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to do that?
Okay, I work, here's what I do. I work with the employee side, the hiring side. I have a consulting practice with that. And I also work with people who are doing job searches and interviewing. And the best way is to email me, mdorio@dorioconsulting.com. That's the best way.
Reach out to us at dentalnachos.com, or you can just text MARC to 215-5436.
And I work with people like we're doing right now. And
think of the personal trainer that you need to, or a coach to teach you to shoot free throws. These are some of the biggest decisions you will make for your organization. Who works there? And all of us have hired someone we wish we didn't hire. And it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they're not the fit for your office. So I know my office manager, my team, we've hired people who are not the right fit. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. And what could you do early on? And also, in this competitive job market, Jill from Job Connect is here, Mark. We have a job in New York City 2 days a week. 20 people applied to it in just a few weeks. So that person is going to have their pick of a lot of qualified dental associates to work for them. What I can share from the compensation part, Mark, is dental students and new grads have $500,000 in debt. So they may like the job. And here's what I say. Hey, in terms of how are associates here usually compensated? It's different than saying, what am I going to get paid? And if you ask me as a practice owner, Mark, you be the interviewee, ask me, how are associates compensated?
Yeah, Dr. Goldman, how are associates compensated in your in Pennington Dental?
It's a really great question because I know dentists have loans and need to pay rent. The way it works here is dentists in our office are paid a daily safety net guarantee of $500 a day, and they have the opportunity to make 33% of collection if that's more. But no matter what, Mark, you will earn $500 a day for the days you work here. So if you work 200 days, it's $100,000 a year. So that's Paul Goodman who has it down. Now ask me again, regular practice owner.
Yes, regular practice owner. How are your associates compensated? Could you tell me how your associates are compensated in your practice?
We're really, really busy here. So you get to you eat what you kill. So if you do work, you'll get paid. But our last associate made a lot, I think. That's a bad answer, guys. It's not a good answer. A good answer has details and it has systems. So when you go to interview, they can be the best practice in the world. You need to be paid to eat food and pay your rent. It's one of the biggest mess ups. And if you're asking as a hiring manager, what you said, Mark, was great. What's the salary range that you would expect or that would make you satisfied? I'll be honest. I know a million people are watching, Mark, but we've hired people at Dental Nachos where we thought they were all set with the salary range. And then later they start emailing, they want double the amount. And that's really frustrating to us. So is there anything we can do to highlight as hiring managers that this is the salary range for this position? And did maybe we make an error in our expectations? I know Mary watching, if she's watching, would love to know, because we've had this happen a few times over the pandemic where someone says $20 an hour is great. And then they say they want 40 and we get confused. So any thoughts on that?
No, I think you have to say, if that's your rate, I have to say our rate is fixed.
Yeah.
It's a firm fix.
Just so we get the right fit, because you don't want someone who resents a job and you don't want someone who,
that's right.
Does this. So I think that's great. So we're going to go to another question here before another quick break. This is a good one. Do you have any tips for being less nervous on interviews in general?
Less nervous. I think one of the ways you can become less nervous is to practice interviews.
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, have a friend interview you. just practice. It's like reps in football. More reps you are, the more it becomes normal. So practice it. Second of all, before you go in, do some deep breathing. There's a whole thing about, right, you're doctors, you know what that means about breath, right? Do some deep breathing. And I think smiling is important. And also getting to the interview early helps with the nervousness, because see, you engage the office manager in conversation. So you're already kind of getting into the environment. That helps. That'll reduce the nerves.
I like the deep breathing. Get your little notebook with your cheat sheet. I'm going to say this. Remember, Mark said it's amazing. Even in 40 minutes, you've given us this amazing value. Remember, say something about office first. I was reviewing online, Pennington Dental Associates. It sounds like you've had some satisfied implant patients. We're proud of that. If you watched our testimonials and you brought that up to Kate immediately, you go into the likable category. The people who interview people, Mark, I find this, and I share this, and if watching, they have very strong like, don't like, right? It's very emotional. I like this person. I don't like this person. And it's not as drastic as I never want to see them again. It's just that whatever you do to enhance likability as soon as possible is so valuable to the person interviewing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I think nervousness is, well, first of all, I'm always nervous when I do any sessions. And my wife said to me today, nervous is good. It gives you energy. I don't want somebody to come in and say, I'm good to be here today. It's great. No, I want to see some energy. So nervousness is something you can use to create energy. Okay. In fact, if you're not nervous, don't take the interview. You're probably gonna fall flat.
I love that you said that, because whether I'm talking to dentists, whether I'm talking about sports, whether I'm talking about speakers, this is the way it's supposed to feel. We got to this point, and this way it's supposed to feel. You used to talk, Mark, and my team likes this. When Andy Reid coached the Eagles, won a few Super Bowls after the Eagles. I guess won't bring that up, but our Super Bowl coaching versus training, right? And the game is coaching. So this is the way it's supposed to feel. So when an NFL quarterback is out on the field on Sunday, like Carson Wentz, he's not going to be in the field. Like their backup quarterback, sorry, Nacho team, that's the way it's supposed to feel. That backup quarterback is now in the game, and that he's supposed to be nervous, or she's supposed to be nervous when you're playing in a basketball championship. So let that feeling sit there. Don't resist it. And I think that's a really good point. We're going to take one more quick video, then we're going to come back with a 10-minute wrap-up, Mark. This has been, while we're doing this video, if the first 4 people to text in Panda, win a free Nacho t-shirt. So if you text in Panda during the video, the first 4 people win a free Nacho, 215-543-645. We're going to do a video, Mark, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Thanks.
Dollars to get their dental degree together, care about each other, and bond together as a dental community. Tell me when I can go. Hi, my name is Dr. Nacho Goodman. I went to Penn Dental School and graduated in 2002. After dental school, I did a GPR residency at Albert Einstein, where I learned how to place implants, do endo, get faster with restorative procedures. I would love to find a job in the Philadelphia area, and I would love to meet you. My cell phone is 267-896-1942. My email is paul@dentalnachos.com. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Great leaders motivate people to move forward, especially when moving forward is annoying for those that they lead. Your ability to connect with and motivate people will determine your success as a dentisting human. 2 amazing resources that have helped me, Paul Dr. Nacho Goodman, dentalnachos.com, on my journey is How to Speak by Patrick Winston and the book To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. If I can help you in any way along your journey, I would love to hear from you at dentalnachos.com, or just text Nachos to 215-543-6454. Text Nachos to 215-543-6454. We are all in this wacky and wild dentisting world together, and the more we share, the more we care, the better world we can build together. Hey everybody, this is Paul Dr. Nacho, and for once I'm behind the camera sharing with you behind the scenes with Dr. Nacho's team here at my office in Pennington, New Jersey. And I have a question for you. Would you like to know about a magic money getting thing? I have been a dentist for 18 years, practice owner for 15 years, and recently we have installed in our office a magic money getting thing to help us collect those balances that, what's the word for them? They're very annoying. $80, $120, $52. So we're going to ask a member of my team what she thinks about our magic money getting thing. So this is Kate, our patient care coordinator. Kate, how long have you been an office manager for?
16 years.
16 years here in Pennington, New Jersey. So have you asked people about getting money before? Calls, emails, letters?
Yes.
Is it a fun job to do that?
No.
No, it's not a fun job. People are never happy to hear from you, right?
No.
Well, I'm here, I'm making a call, but I had 80 bucks. I have 80 bucks to talk about. So recently, we installed one of our key resources and sponsors, Abella, in our office. Now, Kate, when I bring my new ideas, do I have a lot of new ideas that I bring?
A lot.
A lot. Sometimes you think I'm going to try it, but did you think we needed Abella?
No.
You did not think we needed it, right? You said, I'm going to do it because Paul said.
Yes.
Now, 9 weeks later, tell us what you think of Abella now.
It's amazing.
What has it done for us at the office?
It collected $13,329.
So this is money we probably wouldn't be able to get, or at least spent more time getting. Is that true?
Correct. That is true. And what's really amazing about it is they post all the payments into your
Post the payments for you. So whose life does that make easier?
Mine.
So at one point you were sitting here, not sure if we needed the thing that now you enjoy having your life made
Yes.
easier by. Awesome. Well, Kate is an awesome member of our team. If you want to learn more about Abella, text Abella to 215-543-6454 or visit us at dentalnachos.com. You'll get a free trial until January 1st. Now, Kate, if there's office managers thinking, I'm not so sure if we need it either, what would you tell them?
Just try it. Try it for 30 days and see how it goes. You'll be amazed.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kate.
Awesome. Mark, come back on. Great job, Kate. You can have an extra cold brew next time you go to the office for starring in that video. So we got a few more questions here, Mark, and we'll wrap up in about 10 minutes. You guys have been an awesome audience answering great questions. We're going to do more segments of this with Mark. So next question, Mark, is how quickly should you send follow-up communication after an interview, like emails, and what should be in that follow-up communication?
Oh, good question. I was hoping somebody would ask that. Yeah, as soon as you can, okay, quickly, but it can't just be a thank you note. It's got to be a sales note, which says, thank you for the interview. I enjoyed meeting so-and-so, so-and-so. I believe I have the following qualifications you seek, and put them down. This, and this. Look forward to hearing from you, close it out. So make it a sales letter, not just a thank you note. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share authentically in that, I've been asked to be on the interview committee for a general practice residency program, and I'm very outgoing and I like to do it. But one of the challenges for me, since I don't interview all the time, was we would get 30 or 40 amazingly qualified candidates, and we would have our pick of all these awesome people. And I knew that we would disappoint so many awesome young dentists. And I even try and tell them during the interview, you're great. We have a lot of great people, but those thank you notes and correspondences were valuable. It's not a checkbox, what Mark said. It's a bring yourself to life. You saw my video where we were at the, back when we could get together in person, Mark, when we did the interview, I gave an example of bringing yourself to life, right? Hey, I'm Paul Goodman. I went to Einstein. I want to do this. Anything to bring yourself to life a little bit more, because I don't know if this makes some of you younger people feel better, but I'm 43 and most people interviewing is, 40 plus. And we honestly forget, you interview 35 people in 2 days, Mark, you kind of forget who's who, and anything to do that is important.
I have a thought for you. This is could be a little bit provocative, but I would even say, write a note back to somebody, a thank you note. That makes you stand out, especially if it's an older owner.
Right.
She or he may appreciate a handwritten note, because my God, who does that anymore, right? That shows care. I have a client of mine who just got a CEO position in a very large corporation. And he, at the end of the interview, sent a handwritten note to each of the board members. And they were so blown away by it, because nobody does that. Yeah. Right? So think about that.
Mark, what you're talking about, this guy that I mentioned like 9,000 times, Gary Vee, and they ask him, he coaches companies on their social media content. And one of them, what great podcast, somebody like a Marc Dorio says, hey, Gary Vee, should I put the same content on Instagram as I do on LinkedIn? He said, no, because you don't talk to your grandparents the same way you talk to your grandkids. Right. You don't talk to your friends. So maybe it's multiple ways. Maybe a handwritten note for someone. People know me. If you send me a handwritten note, the only person who's going to read it is the person who gets our mail. It'll never get to me. So maybe to me, it's a text message, and maybe it's to someone else, it's a handwritten note. So maybe it's a great way to be flexible. Really great value share there. Yeah. How about this, Mark? Regarding company culture, when you're interviewing for a position, what are some questions that you could ask to learn more about that?
You have to ask what I call behavioral questions, okay? Behavioral questions are questions that get into the culture. Like, tell me, could you tell me what it's like in this organization in terms of teamwork, or tell me what team members do here? What are your values? You know, what are the things that you feel are the most important values you have in the organization? I would like to know what they are. Ask those kind of softer questions, but they really are important questions. If you're interviewing somebody, I love behavioral questions. Tell me about a time that you work with a patient that was very upset about a procedure. How did you work with that person? That tells you more about the person than can you work with difficult people. Oh yeah, I'm good at that. No, tell me. So
I'm gonna add to that, Mark. You're giving great value, but I want to dentify it myself. Let's say you're an office manager. Here's a great question. Ask about culture and give an example like this, because this will help Kate. Hey, most of the time we finish on time. Most of the time we finish on time. But since dentistry is unpredictable, if we were working on a patient and we're running 30 minutes behind, would you be able to stay and help us with that patient? Or would you have to leave exactly at 5 p.m.? Golden question. Because someone might say, I have to get my kids at 5:03. If you end at 5, that's going to be a problem. Example, as a dental associate, I take, good question to ask. How long do people take for crowns here? That question is the question. A crown preparation is a standard procedure, prep impression. So Kate knows if she was talking, someone said, I take 30 minutes for a crown start to finish. That's not part of our culture. They take 3 hours. That's not part of our culture. They say they take 60 minutes to 120 minutes. That's our culture. So if you're a young associate, this is gold, and say, most of the time my work goes on time, but sometimes things are unpredictable. If my crown prep went from an hour to an hour and a half, would that be a problem here? Now, for us, I'd say that wouldn't be a problem if it happened once. If it happened all the time, we'd do it. But those are great, marrying the Mark stuff and my stuff for dental stuff. Probably the real golden Nacho stuff in an interview to find out about company culture. Awesome, Mark. Well, I think we have all of our questions answered here. I wanted you to remind us again, if you're someone interviewing for a job, can you help a dentist interviewing for their first associate job? How would they reach out to you, and what could you guys talk about in some of your training?
I would have them contact me via email, mdorio@dorioconsulting.com. We'd have an online session like this to start off and see what they needed. I help them with the job search. In other words, how are they looking? Are they doing a correct job search? And if they get the job search, how do they interview? Afterwards, they can call me. I'm really their coach. Okay. Perfect. I'm their coach. And if it's an employer, if it's somebody with a practice, I can work with him or her to help them hone their interviewing skills. So I do both.
Could you help people outside of dentistry? Let's say you're interviewing for a job as a physician's assistant. You're interviewing for a job as VP of marketing. Do you also work with sort of anyone in any type of job?
Yes. Position? Oh, yes. Yes.
Because that's why I want to point out, this is really people-oriented. Now, let's put it the other side. You're run a DSO, and they said you have to hire 20 new dentists in 2021. This is kind of real thing. Could you work with someone like on that end, helping them figure out how to ask the questions and determine like that?
Yes, because we could just spend a session on how do you get those how do you get the right questions? Okay, awesome. Really. I mean, I give you real fast before we sign off. We got time. Those behavioral questions. What you do is you look at your practice and you think, who are my best people right now in the practice? Gotcha. Okay. What are they like? What are their behavior like? How do they handle a difficult patient? How would they answer that question about staying late? So you basically get a profile of what works, and you develop your questions around that profile. Okay, and I help people put together those questions. Yes.
And that's really great. And we'll do more of this for volume 2, because industry norms, Mark, a lot of people hiring for dental companies are often asked to come from outside the industry, which is great, but they don't know dental norms. So I'll help a DSO find an associate, and they won't necessarily know. If the associate says they take 3 hours for a crown prep and they're an insurance office, I say, that's a problem. That's not going to work. Right. So industry norms and what questions to ask. I have an awesome web designer, and I ask her all the time, I need you to make me a landing page, and how long does that take? And if she told me 15 minutes or 5 hours, that's the same to me. But maybe someone could help me in industry norms. A landing page is an hour. So I know during the interview process. So that is so valuable. So Mark, mdorio@dorioconsulting.com is the best way. Hold up your book one more time. You guys can go to get this book. I've read this book. It's a great book
for people to read. Any coming from anywhere. I want to thank you, Marc, for being part of this. We're going to do more volumes. We're going to bring Marc back. What I'm going to share now, the cool part about Zoom is normally Marc and I would just walk off and have a glass of wine across the street, but we can't do that.
That's right.
What we
That's
can
right.
do
We go to
is
sumo, right?
yes, you're right. Go sushi and wine. Ariel would want to join us for that, or a lot of people would. Now,
Okay, great.
we're going to stop our video. I'm going to play some videos, and you can ask any last questions in the chat, but I would love for you to help me do this and help Marc. What is one thing you heard today? Put that in the chat, 10 words or less, that you're going to take with you and do tomorrow. What is one thing? And Marc, you watch in the chat, and we'll see what type of impact we made. So Nacho team share, what is one thing you're going to do? Whether it's do your Zoom background right, whether it's get ready for an interview, whether it's ask these questions, whether it's get your cheat sheet, just one thing. The act of typing that into the chat is so valuable.
Great.
So I want to thank you for being you, Marc. And what I want to share is you always can end on a high note. Whether your interview goes well or not on Zoom, you're ready for your next step. You just get your wine, you get your snacks, and you already can have your pajamas on and you're ready to go. So that's the part about interview. So thanks, Marc, for being you.
Very good. Very good.
We're going to leave this going for about 5 more minutes and just put that in the chat. I would love that. Thanks so much for being here, guys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you,
Thanks,
Dr.
Marc.
Nacho.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay.
Hey everybody, this is Paul.
You'll be amazed.
Awesome, thanks so much, Kate. Where do you find a book to learn the business side of dentistry? A great question from a great dentist. I would like to share 15 years into practice owning, 18 years into being a dentist. I have one goal each day: cry less on the inside. That is how I determine how good I'm doing in business. Like sometimes I was up like 45 times a day. I was down to like 15 times a day. Pandemic, we're up higher. But I want to share with you that it's great to read books and podcasts, but a lot of it is dealing with people. So how do you learn to deal with people? I was a restaurant server back in the day. I was a chief resident at my GPR. Those were great ways to learn how to deal with and manage people. So infused into your books about EBITDA and overhead and cash flow, which are super important, also look to learn how to deal with people. Read books on that. Listen to podcasts on that. Put yourself in situations that sometimes will make you feel a little bit out of your comfort zone in dealing with people. Observe organizations like Setting the Table by Danny Meyer. He was the inventor or the founder of Shake Shack. Great book, Setting the Table. But I just want to let you guys know in this video that dealing with people is a big part of being successful in business. Dental school does not teach us how to deal with people, maybe patients, not people. So that is my advice to you. Infuse people training into what you do. And that is how you will do the thing that I try to do less often: cry on the inside as a dentist. Have a great day, guys. Do you need a dentisting coach? Someone to help you get to the next level? Is this your level and you want to get to the next level? What's wrong with your level? Your level stinks. What if you think you're on the best level? There's no such thing as that. If you even think you're on the best level, that's one of the limitations of your life. You can always get to the next level. I had a client once giving 110%. That stunk. I got him to use 114%. I don't know if that's how math works, but I can help you. I had one client who was so successful, he had a private jet. After working with me, he's now like Gary Vee. He wants to buy the New York Jets. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, and all of that is total nonsense. I am a normal dentist coach. I'm a dentist myself. I help dentists buy practices, find jobs, hire their first associate, and most of all, just be happier, less grumbly in their dentisting life. It's like if we fed Mr. Grumbly nachos. If you reach out to us at dentalnachos.com or email us at salsa@dentalnachos.com, we have so many toppings to help you build your morale, make more money, deliver better patient care, and most of all, just be happier each day. So reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. I would love to help you.
This is nice. This is great.
The first step to paying off your dental student debt, first step, get a job. You need a job to pay off your debt. You need a job to create the most beautiful emergence profile in the world. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho. I've been a dentist for 18 years, and I love helping dentists connect for jobs. Have practice owners find associates, new dentists, medium-aged dentists find the dentisting job of their dreams. At Dentist Job Connect at Dental Nachos, we will help you do just that. And on our platform, we have some jobs available now. To get the full list of all of the jobs you have available, over 40 jobs across the country, just text JOB to 215-543-6454 or visit dentalnachos.com. Now, let me share with you the jobs that we have on the Nacho plate right now. One is in Elma, Washington. Elma Family Dental. Full service dental office, 10 ops. One of their associates is moving, a great why. To find more information on how to find a good job and not burn your nachos, just look up Dental Nacho Flicks. It's a great platform we have. We can find out the 5 questions you need to ask on every job interview. If you have any questions for us about this, you can reach out to us at 267-896-4886. Elma, Washington, one of their full-time associates is moving. Great why. You're replacing a full-time associate. Compensated 25 to 30% of production, no lab fees, and a daily safety net guarantee of $600 to $800 a day. They're open to full-time or part-time. To learn more about this job, with Dr. Catherine Siebert, you can email kjkdmd@gmail.com, kjkdmd@gmail.com, or just reach out to us by texting JOB to 215-543-6454.
Okay.
All right, guys, that's the end of our webinar. Thanks to Mark for being so awesome. And join us for the next one. Stay up to date on everything by dentalnachos.com or just by texting nachos to 215-543-6454. Don't forget about our awesome 12 days of nachos coming up. Even if you're watching this a year from now, you can still text in gift to this number, 215